Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to another episode of Unbearable 73. This episode, I'll be reviewing and commenting on Sharpe, Season 2, Episode 2, Sharpe's Enemy. So this episode, again, Sharpe is based on a series of novels by Bernard Cornwell. In this episode, it's Season 2, so it more directly relates to, obviously, the first episode of Season 1. And it's based on the premise that a band of deserters from all the war's factions, the British, the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and others, they basically become a sort of independent band of mercenaries and bandits. They're led by Sharpe's enemy, so to speak, from we know it's Obadiah Hickswell, the renegade sergeant who deserted at the end of the last episode after performing some heinous deeds, and a French wannabe noble who turns out to be a cook. We open with them taking over a Portuguese village and literally annihilating the population, or at least the males and the children, and then using the women to do very heinous things to them, right? And it turns out they captured a couple of noble women along the way. Lady Isabella, who is played by Elizabeth Hurley, who you may recognize. This is way back when her career was beginning. She's the wife of a British noble, Sir Augustus Farthingale, who is the military envoy to Portugal, and he's a colonel in the British Army, of course. And they've also kidnapped the wife of a French colonel, Duberton. Her name is Sarah. So Elizabeth Hurley is the black-haired one, and Sarah is the blonde-haired one. Okay. And Sharpe's enemy, Hickswell, wants to use this as a trap to get Sharpe in so he can kill him, basically. And so this episode concerns a bunch of politics involving between the French, the British military, and Sharpe is being named to carry the ransom to the small town. The British colonel is, aside from being a rear echelon mother fracker, he doesn't trust Sharpe because Sharpe wasn't born to the office of nobility, whereas Wellington does trust Sharpe, and Sharpe now has earned the respect of the British royalty, the crown prince, Prince George III, who King George III eventually has respect Sharpe and follows his exploits. So Sharpe is a man on the rise, as it were, and he's trying to become a major in this episode, essentially. So then we have that politics. Then we have the sort of spycraft back and forth between, what's his name, Michael Byrne as Major Narn, and then the French espionage guy whose name is, what was his name, Monsieur Ducou or something like that. I didn't quite catch his name. Anyway, we might see it in the subtitles as we flash through the episode. So we get that, and then we get the military play. So there's 3 or 4 plots that happen, and you can almost see how this could be broken up into episodes and released as a sort of mini series. So they could have broken up all 3 of these movies into multiple episodes. So that's how I got the sense that this was constructed as a movie that could easily be broken up and broadcast in episodic chunks, right? So I think they were hedging their bets on how they're going to sell this thing overseas, right? So that's kind of the assessment where it stands. At this point, Sharpe has been married to Teresa for maybe 2 years. They are keeping their marriage kind of on a down low and not spreading it too much because Teresa is a notorious assassin and rebel and leader of the militia. So they're not hiding it from anyone, but they're not. They're trying to keep it, making her or Sharpe targets to do their careers, right? And now their daughter is in a safe place because the war is largely occurring in Portugal now and not so much Spain, right? As the Napoleonic Wars occur. So we'll talk our way through the episode, then I'll have some more thoughts. Actually, one more thing I want to say before we go through the episode. This was the first episode of Sharpe where I got worried about maybe a third of the way through 2/3 of the way through, that they weren't going to be able to adequately resolve the plot lines for this episode in a satisfying way. It turns out I was wrong. This episode is actually a little bit bittersweet for reasons we'll talk to in a minute, but they did resolve the storylines. They did, so it worked out is the best way to put it. So here we got the opening trail, which, Wellington arrests army prior to resuming his offensive against Napoleon, but in the no man's land between the two armies, the mountains of northern Portugal and other forces still active. That's where we open up with the deserters who are mercenaries and all. And so here they open up. They're pretending to be British soldiers, right? So Staines, Haskell's pretending to be an officer. He has the officer's hat on, right? And they use that to infiltrate the village. These are some. This is a Spanish village. This is a Portuguese that's pretending to be a captive Portuguese noble. Those are Spanish troopers, if I understand the logic correctly. And they've infiltrated. There's her as the captured noble woman. These are the men basically saying they're gonna grape her to death. Now this guy here on our left, that black headband, by the way, is the symbol of their unit. All the men in their unit wear the black headband, right? This guy, he plays an important role. Okay, I'd have to go back and look, and maybe we'll try. When Sharpe was capturing the eagle, he was near Sharpe, sort of in the fight. So, and he wound up deserting from being flogged, flogged for something he didn't do. Okay, which comes up in the episode. So he's a pivotal guy in this episode. He's one of the few deserters not happy with the treatment of women or their behavior, whereas most of the troopers, the deserters, are all basically become human scum. So that establishes. So it is the arrival of the Colonel, Lord Farthingale. He's gone there. He was going to the front anyway because of his role in the war, but he's specifically going to Wellington's command because Wellington has been charged to try to recover his wife, and Wellington doesn't think that's going to happen. But anyway, you see Sharpe and the men playing, I guess, rugby or Gaelic soccer, depending on your point of view on that. Which is good training, by the way. They didn't really know of training the way we do for athletics and the military with weight training and cardio. So having, aside from true troop drills, engaging in a contact sport where, would be good training for a soldier to keep their body overall conditioning and all that. So it's fun for the troops, but it's also good conditioning. Harper comes on. Now Harper knows that Sharpe isn't a conventional officer, so immediately he's doing his duty to Sharpe to protect Sharpe from the notice of the British officer. But when Harper's about to get reinforced, Sharpe does the right thing, steps up and says, "No, I'm operating on my orders. I'm their captain," and so forth. Right. Now, but breaking up the effort, the major here, who is the intelligence. I wonder if he's playing the same intelligence officer that the other guy played in the first season, or if it's a different intelligence officer. He's a major, and he immediately steps in to sort of politically intercede to take the pressure off of Sharpe and his men, because he knows that Sharpe is the guy who is going to be sent with the ransom, because it's been demanded. But even if it wasn't, Sharpe is the man to accomplish the mission, right? Because you need a rogue to take out rogues, in a sense. And now here's another plot point in this episode. This is the English rocket troop, the rocket artillery troop, which is, now they have artillery in the form of cannons, but apparently this is the time when they're beginning to experiment with like rocket artillery, meaning giant firecrackers as explosives, to try to get maybe longer range. And also, not having to get the artillery fight, without having to have cannons, right? And these guys are notoriously inaccurate at the time. It's one of the running points of this episode that they started accurate, but they eventually train and get more accurate, and they become one of Sharpe's forces involved in all this. Here's Farthingale. Now, this is a great scene. One of the things this show does very well, and this show is a heavy politics, is Wellington manipulates Farthingale, and even Sharpe manipulates him later, right? For political purposes to their advantage, okay? And so this sequence of scenes where Farthingale interacts with Wellington and Sharpe and the major, what's his name? Find it in a second. Major. Excuse me. I want to make sure I get the right. I don't want to keep saying his name if it's wrong. Yeah. Okay. So Major Narn, played by Michael Byrne. Okay. Michael Byrne, was he in Doctor Who? Do I just prove it was in Force 10 from Navarone? Oh, wow. And he was Ernst Vogel in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yep. He has extensive movie filmography. Anyway, so we'll go back to what we're talking about. So this is a cool scene. We get a little bit of it going through there are no. Usually I have the full subtitles for this, so you guys can see some of the dialogue. So Teresa comes in, and Farthingale doesn't know that Teresa is married to Sharpe, right? So he considers Sharpe just a rogue, basically, a rogue promoted above his station. And Teresa is a French noble, okay? So she takes offense to Farthingale, but she knows the game that's being played because they don't want to just like completely alienate Farthingale because they need him in the long run. Because he's wealthy and he has his own connections, not quite as good as the connections that Wellington or even Sharpe have at this point. But so this is all part of the play. Teresa knows the role here to manipulate this guy with positive and negative feedback, right? Again, I don't have the subtitles playing. I'm going to experiment here, okay? Because they've been good to me with the copyright. And we're saying that the copyright issue, but letting me use the footage. I'm not monetized. I'm not doing the channel to be monetized. So I'm going to turn the audio on and see if you guys can hear any of this.
And he can keep his horses.
Sorry.
My lord.
So here's the scene. Sharpe reports as intention.
Allow me to present Colonel Sir Augustus Farthingale, His Majesty's military representative in Lisbon. Colonel Comandante Moreno, commander of the Spanish guerrillas across the border. She is to take part in the operation we propose. And Captain Sharpe of the 95th.
So again,
Your servant, ma'am.
so the politics interplay, but they're keeping Teresa's marriage to Sharpe a secret for now.
I'm sorry I'm late, my lord. The inspection of the rocket battery ran to a full hour, sir.
I am not happy you did not give me my horses, Sharpe. You think there may be something in these rockets, Sharpe?
Not as to accuracy, sir. But they play merry hell with the morale of poorly led men, sir.
Yep.
The sound is shocking.
Scared you, did they?
I was terrified, sir.
Do you think Captain Sharpe's the right man to send with the ransom, sir? Won't cut and run if somebody lets off a gun, will he?
Who is this for?
I have not come here, my lord, to listen to Captain Sharpe explaining about his rockets. What about my...
So there's a little bit of the interplay that starts. I'm going to hold on, I don't get copyright struck. I just claimed. But so we get some good interplay there. And yet, again, the acting is always high quality. This is about where I began to worry that the plot might be a little overly complicated to either resolve in one episode or to resolve satisfactorily. Okay? So we've gotten through that. Now this book Sharpe is looking at is a book written by Farthingale with pure rear echelon mother fracker logic about how troops should behave while marching. Okay? And Sharpe and his men, bonding together. Sharpe has gotten his promotion to major and so forth. Sharpe and Teresa spend having a night together. Actually, Sharpe is still a captain at this point. Okay. This is Sharpe and his riflemen and Teresa's militia going to take the ransom to the town. You know, a little interplay between Sharpe and Teresa, perfectly good. And this is when Sharpe begins to assess the scope of the problem that they're facing, which is not just a couple of dudes with kidnapping, but a humongous deserter army. I mean, there's hundreds of guys involved in this. So now we get a little bit of now this I actually like this scene here. Okay, so what happens is, since they have a French colonel's wife and a British colonel's wife, they sent for 2 ransoms, and they immediately had the brigands have a little fun with, in a sense, on for their brigandy sense. This now some might say this scene is unnecessary, that it could have been edited out and not change the plot. Here's the thing, okay? What this does 2 things. It establishes that these guys are very evil and cunning evil, right? Like but also establishes that they're kind of stupid, okay? Cunning cunning doesn't mean you're smart. Cunning means you have a sort of instinct for stabbing people in the back and sneaking around, which they have. But they are not geniuses. They don't. So later on, Sharpe essentially outsmarts them, and because he's cunning himself, out-cunnings them, as it were. And so what happens is the Sharpe and Harper come in, and the French colonel and his aide come in, and they big fight out with Sharpe and Harper, and Sharpe defeats the French colonel, but before killing him, which is kind of what Hakeswell tried to set up, so which would make Sharpe even more enemy of the French. He's able to understand the French guy is there on a mission as well, and they come to terms and sort of begin bonding over the sense of honor and rescuing the women and all that. Now, it's also a note the French guy doesn't, even though he tells Sharpe that he's actually the husband of the woman, and the French gave him personal leave to do so, but the French command doesn't think she could be saved and aren't planning to help him beyond letting him spend his personal money on doing this and personal time. So Sharpe and he bond over a sense of honor, and that allows some détente between the sides, right? And then also, how do I put it? Honor. It allows them to not get to sort of deal with what's being presented to them, right? So they have the fight. Here's the fighting between the two. Sharpe wins, and his Hakeswell comes out and begins to issue the terms. You know, Hakeswell is trying to get everyone. Hakeswell's only goal Hakeswell's goal here is to get Sharpe killed. He wants the money, but he's perfectly happy killing Sharpe and just essentially raping the women to death, as it were. This guy wants the money. He thinks he jumped himself he calls himself a marquis, actually a cook, and he wants the money so he could obtain power, so to speak, and gain reputation. So Harper's about to kill Hakeswell, but Sharpe stops him, and the Marquis stops him. We see in the background our guy who I mentioned before. So this now something nifty happens here. I'll see if I can play it. The wife of the Frenchman gives them a cryptic clue in the form of poetry as to where the women are being kept in the building. Sharpe, of course, doesn't recognize that, but he recognizes that it could be a clue in English poetry because his wife's an Englishwoman and he's a Frenchman. So he tells Sharpe, ask your people about this. They may be able to figure this clue out. Let's see if we can...
And you?
I am withering in my bloom,
Here's the poem.
lost in solitary gloom, Colonel Beauchamp. Solitary gloom.
Sharpe knows something's up, but he doesn't understand why she's using a poem.
No wonder your husband loves you so much.
And of course, she's keeping the fact that he's the husband hidden, right? So now here, Hakeswell his goal is to humiliate the women, and So Sharpe knows. So he's really gonna have the French captain's wife stripped naked to humiliate her and to, and essentially, but Lady Farthingale volunteers and to be the one to be humiliated, which of course gives her honor with the French people to prevent her being humiliated by being stripped in front of men. But more interesting here, we find out later that Lady Farthingale is not all that she seems. Okay, she and Sharpe actually know each other. That she was a prostitute who became a mistress to a noble, and the noble then sort of sold to protect his own reputation, sort of made her a sort of wealthy woman type who eventually caught the other Farthingale. So Sharpe had seen her naked before, so there's no real embarrassment for her being naked in front of Sharpe, and obviously Hakeswell was stripped up before, so Now, I'm not going to show the nakedness. I want to skip over that. You can of course see the parts of naked, if you choose to watch the episode unedited. So we get some good scenes here. Now this is the French intelligence officer. He doesn't care at all. He wants everyone dead. He wants Sharpe dead. And the French are planning to take advantage of the situation, that the fact that the garrison in the town has been killed by the deserters, by having an advanced unit invade, take it over, and use it as a gateway back into the war front against the British. So Sharpe and Teresa returning. The usual point interaction. This one, Sharpe gets the idea to use the rocket troopers to his advantage. This is more politics, a really good interplay here. Now I like this part. Again, this part works for two reasons, okay? Obviously you have top level writing and I hate mentioning bad stuff, but if you will watch Amazon's Wheel of Prime, for example, which is a direct adaptation, which is purported to be a direct adaptation of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, which not, as opposed to this, which is a direct adaptation, and it is. Okay, they took Bernard Cornwell's source material, right, and adapted it, but since Cornwell did the bulk of the work in writing the structure, writing the plot, writing the character interactions for them, they wisely took what was there and kept the core of it. So they didn't have to reinvent the whole wheel to do this, okay? So this is a great example, and I know there are people who say, well, these aren't that accurate adaptations. Fine. But the spirit of them is there. This is a well-received TV show, and the Bernard Cornwell himself loves them and respects them and considers Sean Bean to be so sharp, so much so that he changed the physical description of the character in the novels to be more compliant with Sean Bean playing Sharpe. Okay? So anyway, but so the politics again of the manipulations involved here, because what comes back is eventually Sharpe, Farthingale is coming to. There's a sort of some politics about Sharpe becoming promoted to a major, and that thing gets involved in this, and again more excellent political manipulation. Now this is when we get the. Let's see if I can catch it all. What's really going on here? Well, the intelligence officer, Colonel Major Narn, has some points.
Why, he's in the same line of work as me, sir.
Your wife should do it.
But if we send in a strong force, the deserters will kill your wife.
Hardy, and certainly not for the faint-hearted.
Lost.
To the Frenchman in his recent revolution, it is liberty. To the Whig, puffing in Parliament, it is licensed to do anything provided do not disturb his pleasure. But to the common soldier, it is anarchy. To do whatever he please and be damned to his fellow. But to me and Bonaparte, the supreme virtue is order.
That is a powerful scene about the perceived motivations of all the men involved and women involved in this war. It might not be as cut and dry as that, but that was Cornwell's interpretation of the events, and it's very powerful.
Appointment.
Sharpe reports that Colonel Dupleton told him he was God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
This is where the Crown Prince makes Sharpe a major, overwhelming the ability of Button to block it. So now there's a little more politics at play as Sharpe realizes playing the game. He's got his majorhood. He's in command of the full assault force going against the town of miscreants, as it were. Sharpe and Teresa having building a relationship, and again, if you're watching my review, I'm not doing it to give a spoiler-free review that will convince you to watch this. I'm doing it to share my opinion, okay? Which hope if you haven't watched it, you'll still go watch it, right? But, spoilers, obviously, Teresa dies in this episode. And one of the things I saw, I was wondering when all the interactions that Sharpe was having with Teresa, if they were building towards some sort of fork in the road to them. Because Sharpe, as shown in this episode, he basically, betrays his marital vows with Lady Farthingale, okay? And then the next time Sharpe encounters Teresa, she's been shot and is essentially dying. So, so Sharpe, again, is not a saint, as it were. So Sharpe meets now Sharpe is a major, so he has command of more than his company. He has the full regiment, I guess you would call it. And also, Lord Wellington has realized that these deserters all have to be executed. That a bunch of deserters being allowed to do that will demoralize his army, and a bunch of British deserters killing Spanish and Portuguese will destabilize the war effort. So Sharpe has a couple of ways to get them back, and he has to either capture or kill these guys in this deserter unit. And he gets another troop of the riflemen. I still haven't quite figured out the like the difference between the blue coats and the red coats. I should probably read up on that for the next episode. But basically, the blue coats are riflemen and the red coats are musketmen. I guess because the rifles are more expensive, and so all you want guys with special elite training for that. And the chosen men are men chosen for their special skills and bravery, from among mostly among the riflemen, but from also among others. So now I wonder if this is going to be a reoccurring character. This new guy here, this is Captain William. William Fredrickson. He's played by Philip Whitechurch. We've seen him around in many places before. This review is getting a little long. We're going to try to knock it up. So he does appear in more episodes after this, which is good. Okay. The character, I mean, I don't know if the actor. I don't know if the actor appears in two more episodes after this. I don't know if the character does, but the actor does. So he looks like he's going to be one of Sharpe's captains in his men. Okay, which is good. So he has the troop. He had the same. I like how so Sharpe's men establish Sharpe as a bit of a hard ass, and give the basic rules that Sharpe wants to have for his company, which they have to be able to shoot three shots in 1 minute, right? And Sharpe, this guy has the same attitude that Sharpe does. Sharpe is assessing him. They're doing a little bit of the officer posturing and whatever. Sharpe gets sent to command him, and he says, the uniforms are dirty, but the guns are clean, which means he says, I don't care about the appearances. My men can fight, and that's the attitude that Sharpe likes. And then they do a little bonding between the Sharpe's company of the Chosen and the rest of them with this a little bit of humor, a little soldier's humor, and all that. Then, of course, we get a little bit of humor play as Sharpe comes up with a plan to infiltrate sneak in, essentially, to the town, and they'll have one of the men dress up in a gown and a female, while on Christmas Eve, when most of the deserters are getting drunk, just to get close with this guy. I didn't do any female ickiness stuff, seduction or whatever. It's just to look female enough for them to get close to where they can disable a guard or two to get in, right? So now this is Hakesville engaging in psychological torture, close enough that they can basically club this guy out. Presumably they kill him. So here's where we get the plot. So this guy comes in. Sharpe recognizes him because Sharpe is the type of officer and commander when he was a sergeant to know who the men are, know who the men surrounding him is. And this guy, he sensed before that guy might have been someone he could recruit back to the side of good. And this guy, he does. This guy comes over to Sharpe's side, helps him, infiltrate, helps him infiltrate. Right. So they go in, they infiltrate. Now, what Sharpe's plan is with the chosen men and his company to hold that balcony while Captain Williamson, Fredrickson rather, leads the larger company and guns their way in, takes out the guys, and then have a pincer effect, and they'll take out the majority of these troopers. Now, of course, here's where Sharpe betrays his marital vows, and you learn the nuance that Sharpe is not a saint, okay? And I'm not going to make excuses for it. It has a literary purpose, but I'm sure in the novel it's more expounded upon as to why Sharpe gave in to the temptation of it, We'll have to see how this plays out in the long run, because now will Sharpe feel guilty over this with Teresa being dead? Will we see some sort of, maybe he goes to confessional in the next episode, or maybe he feels guilty that his last moment with Teresa, he betrayed her and then she died or whatever. We'll have to see if they follow up on this or not. So this is the Fredrickson leading his men into place. This is Sharpe. They have some of the explosive powder, the gunpowder. They made sort of like basically, I guess you would say 18th century hand grenades, and they're going to throw them among the enemy, which is good tactics. And now they're moving to the steps where they have to hold the steps to, keep basically to hold that area, to protect the women and also keep them let the other troops set up. So Hakesville kidnaps Farthingale's wife, Lady Farthingale. We have our return to the light trooper helping out. You have the good guys fighting. They're elite troopers, so it makes sense that they would do well against these guys. And of course now they're going right into the trap. They're going to bust out en masse and get gunned down. So now what happened? It's a sad end. I mean, in a way it had to happen because I don't think Wellington could have forgiven this guy for being a deserter just because Sharpe got him back to the good side. So this way he died an honorable death. Sharpe can say that he can tell Wellington off the record this guy was a deserter who came back to our side, but he can, and then Wellington can say, okay, since he's dead, he'll go on the record as a chosen man who was working undercover instead of a traitor, and they can repay since he balanced out his treason, his desertion, with giving his life to help Sharpe recover the women, so they can say, so they can give him a sort of, and Sharpe makes him a chosen man upon his death. So Hakesville is about to have his way with Lady Farthingale, but the French colonel and a small detachment find him and catch him. He doesn't know that this guy is the husband, so the guy plays some word games here. See if we can catch it. Now remember, Hakeswell does not know that this guy is actually Sarah's husband. He thinks he's just working for the guy.
Put that pistol down, lassie, and I'll blow Lady Farthingale's brains out.
Save yourself. Shoot him.
And she should have done it because Hakeswell, the murderous rogue, just kills her.
Deal with me how you will. But don't hand me over to Sharpe.
Agreed. Very sharp.
Well, and obviously he has whereas he has honor, Sharpe has honor. This guy's just trying to stay alive. He's going to turn him over to Sharpe. This is when Sharpe finds out that this is a powerful scene. This is when Sharpe finds out that Therese is dead, basically.
Love you. I left your daughter.
I like Therese's character. I liked her and Sharpe's relationship, but I guess, she wrote, Cornwell wrote her death, and that's the way it's got to be.
Don't go.
You never stopped me from doing what I must do. That's why I loved you so much.
So we'll skip a little bit. So the men know that Sharpe, I'm hearing my voice tearing up. Very powerful scene.
I'm truly sorry, monsieur. This is the man who killed your wife.
A liar. Thief. A rapist. A murderer. That's not a man. Take it away.
I love that scene. So Sharpe doesn't give in to the need for vengeance because he knows he'll get justice. And we see that near the end where Hakeswell finally gets his justice hurts for all the evil he's done. So now we have about 10 or 15 minutes left, and the French are basically saying that this guy is basically even though Sharpe's wife is dead, and yes, Sharpe's wife has been murdering, his side for the whole war, so understandably hates her. He can't leave well enough alone, so he has to say, something very despicable about her, with her being dead. Ticks off Sharpe, which makes Sharpe decide he's going to kill every French man he can find. And so Sharpe has orders also to hold this place at all costs, right? So now the last chunk of this is the French assault on the position Sharpe has in that town, which is up on a hill essentially. Farthingale attempts to take command because he's a colonel and say, no, we're going to negotiate here. But Sharpe is under orders not to negotiate. He knows he has to take and hold this town. So he blackmails Farthingale and saying, look, your wife is a prostitute. I slept with her 3 or 4 years ago. If you do this, I will make it known that she was a prostitute, and you'll be embarrassed. And this guy's sense of honor, sense of self-embarrassment is like, oh, I can't have that done. Oh, he claims to actually love her, so we'll see how that works out. But now, Sharpe shows he has honor because the French did not expect Sharpe to turn the wife over. He expected that French Ducos expected him to hold her hostage, but Sharpe has honor, and he turns her over to his fellow captain, and because he had a good working, and they had terms and honor and all that. I know I'm sounding stupid way to say it, but this is the officer, the men of honor, fulfilling the bond they made. And this Sharpe saying he's going to kill this guy when he gets him eventually. So Sharpe's one nifty thing Sharpe did was he equipped the rocket units with the stuff that makes them look like they're a cavalry unit. So he already knows he's planning on playing a little bit of a game with how he defends this place, which is cool. So they'll look like cavalry, but they're not going to charge like cavalry. And while other members of the team will fire the rockets, so to speak. There's Teresa. This is the French colonel, who now so Ducos here is trying to convince them you have to take this. They don't have any artillery or cavalry. You have the force to take this. But the French colonel's like, no, I don't have the force to take this, right? I have orders to take it, but retreat if there's any resistance. I don't have the giant regiment that you think I have, you know. And so on his personal word, Ducos says he doesn't have artillery and doesn't have cavalry, and the French colonel gets it from him in writing. So the French are marching up, and the French colonel explains with P's the plot. Like, the French are advancing spread out, and they can't be stopped that way. So, but Sharpe has to concentrate them. If you had cavalry, can concentrate them, and then sustain fire in the group and take them out, basically. Right. So the fake cavalry, and she's enjoying eating the peas because she wants Sharpe to win. That to reconcentrate because they're the fake cavalry. Sharpe's men are getting ready, who are elite sharpshooters, are getting ready to take them out. They use the rocket artillery to kill some of them, but mostly send them into disarray, causing a retreat, and things work out. In terms of holding the town. Teresa's funeral, grave. And of course, Hake's will has been proved to be fairly unkillable, which really means tough as nails.
Kill me.
And the officer in command of the firing squad issues the coup de grace, which is the procedure for this, and Hake's will finally meets his fate. And that's the end of our episode there. And of course, Sharpe marches off, and the Sharpe theme song and all that. And Sharpe marching with his men. This is Sharpe recovering his daughter and and a couple other people, and so forth. And so I'm guessing that woman is going to raise Sharpe's daughter for him while Sharpe continues to fight. And then the Nights Over the Hills and Far Away plays. Over the hills and far away. It's a beautiful song. That's the Sharpe theme song, basically, the closing theme song. And these women are the the family members of the men, Sharpe's men there. So all in all, another very good episode. Not quite as good as the previous 4. This is 2-2, so 2-1. Previous 3. But they did work out that plot that I was so worried about to begin with, okay? So that was good. Obviously, Sharpe's daughter is going to be mentioned in a background character for quite a while. Maybe by the final we get season 6 or 7, which is after Sharpe's retirement and he comes back out. Maybe we'll see the grown-up daughter being Sharpe and having a teenage daughter or whatever. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. But obviously, the background character now for the rest of this. Because Teresa's gone. Anything else to say? No, I think that's it. 'Cause I believe the next episode takes place shortly after this one, and hopefully I'll have it by the weekend or so. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73, talking about Sharpe Season 2, Episode 2, Sharpe's Enemy. Comment down below if you have questions. Please watch this. These are good shows. You can get them on Blu-ray, used through eBay. Look for good. There are good deals. Or they're Region 2 Blu-rays, so I need a Region 2 player, or you got to rip them into like a Flex Media player or something like that. But you can get them on high def, good quality video. You don't have to watch scrubby DVD quality, But it's still worth watching on DVD. Anyway, share it out if you can for me. Help me out get some growth. Thank you. Have a nice day. I am out of here.